friends, welcome here. If you're new here, my name is Rebecca and I just returned from traveling 3 months in Southeast Asia. So before I left, I did a video that detailed everything that I brought with me for 3 months. And now that I've returned, I thought I'd do a little review of things that I brought with me that I was really glad that I had and that came in really handy, and things that I either didn't bring with me that I wish I had or brought with me and didn't find useful. Let's get started. Where should we begin? So let's start with things I brought with me that I found really helpful to have. Wow, the sun just really came out. What are you gonna do? So the first thing is a Turkish towel. So this one is made by SandCloud. So this is not quite like the thickness of a beach towel, but it's also a little bit thicker than, say, like a sarong kind of material. So I found this super helpful to have with me, and I brought it in my backpack every day. So I found it useful for just like if it had rained and we needed to like towel something off, or towel like our motorbike off, or even like our bodies off, or if we made like a surprise visit to a beach, or if I had to like clean up a spill. And then on the other end, it was nice if I needed to like cover my shoulders or cover my legs if I was like going to a temple or something, or even if it was just like a little bit chilly and air conditioning, like it was a nice extra layer to have. So this might be like the most useful thing that I had with me. Highly recommend. All right, next up is a laundry bag. So this one zips up into itself, and I'll just unzip it to show it to you. So I got this off of Amazon, and again, I'll link as much of this stuff below as I can, but it just unzips into like a drawstring bag. So this is super helpful because the way that we did laundry while we were traveling in Southeast Asia was to drop it off at a laundry service. So that can be difficult to do if you have no way to contain all of your laundry to hand it over to the people who are going to be washing it. So it was nice to be able to throw everything in this drawstring bag in order to hand it over. But in addition to that, it's also nice to separate your dirty clothes from your clean clothes in your bag. And this is nice because it's like a nylon material. So if something is like wet or muddy or like even really stinky, it just is quarantined from the rest of your clothes in your bag. So next up is an external battery pack. So this is the Flip 36 by Goal Zero. I loved having this with me. So it has one USB port, and then it can be charged itself with a USB as well. So I found this really helpful to have with me because I used my phone for everything while we were traveling, especially when we were out exploring during the day. Like I filmed a video on it, I used it to take photos, I used it for navigation. It was a really important thing in my life, and to have it die in the middle of the day would have been like detrimental to me. So I carried this with me every single day and used it whenever the phone was getting low. And along that same vein, it was important because if we were ever staying in a place that didn't have electricity or didn't have like a proper plug-in for our bigger converter to charge devices overnight, I did just want to make sure that my phone was charged up because I used it for so many things, so I could use this for an overnight charge. So this, if it was fully depleted, would take I think like 6 hours to fully charge this device, and I would get about 2 to 3 charges on my iPhone from this. All right, next up, rain protection. I had 2 things with me. The first is this, and it's a backpack cover. So every day when we would like go out exploring or do whatever we were doing, I would have my backpack with me. And especially in the later half of our travels, we were starting to get into some rainy season in Thailand. So I would bring this with me. It just straps over your backpack, and it's elasticized, so it can fit over a lot of different sizes of packs. So I would just throw this over if it started to rain. It would protect all my stuff from getting wet, and it was really easy to take on and off and access the bag. And then the other thing I brought was a rain jacket. So if you watched my original packing video, I didn't have this. And it didn't even occur to me that I was gonna need a rain jacket until I was on my way to the airport. So we actually had to make a stop on the way to the airport because I was like, I'm gonna need a rain jacket, we need to stop. So we stopped and got rain jackets, and I wanted something that would pack down really small. So this, I believe, is by Marmot, maybe? I don't know. But it packs down into its own pocket. Who makes you? Oh yes, it's Marmot. So it's just like a simple rain jacket. Yes, it's super wrinkly when you pack it down into its own pocket, but it's nice that it doesn't take up a lot of space. It doesn't really fit with my hair. It's nice, it comes up really high, it protects you from the rain. And I wore this on quite a few occasions, and it definitely kept me dry. The thing that I will say is that it's a shorter jacket. It did cover like past my butt, but I would find that my legs would get really wet. So if you're looking for something with a little bit more coverage, maybe like a poncho or something might be a little bit better. But I really like this again because it packed down very small and was very water resistant. Next up is some sort of travel wallet. This is mine that I've had for years and years and years. And the reason I like this is not just for like a protective case for your passport, which do you really need that? I don't know, maybe. But I like to keep all of my travel documents in here. So we went to 6 different countries in the time that we were traveling, and there's just a lot of like visa, immigration, customs, boarding pass, paper stuff that you have. And in some cases, like when we were in Thailand, they gave us a departure card when we arrived, and we were supposed to hang on to that for the entire time we were in Thailand, which was like 6 weeks or something. To keep track of that little tiny piece of paper can be difficult when you're like living out of a backpack and moving all around. So just to have a place to keep all that stuff safe, I felt like was really, really helpful in terms of like keeping organized and making sure I didn't lose any important papers. And the last thing that I was really, really glad that I had with me, it's kind of like a two-parter. So the first are bamboo utensils. So in this little pouch, I carried with me a fork, chopsticks, a spoon, a knife, and then a straw and a straw cleaner. So one of the things I learned very, very quickly traveling in Southeast Asia was that there is a lot of plastic waste. Any little thing I could do to help mitigate that, I tried. We did eat out a lot, and there was a lot of like street food situations where having my own utensils I felt like was really, really helpful in terms of at least reducing some of the waste that we were producing while we were over there. And then the second part is a reusable bag. So I brought this one. It's again like a nylon material, so it's really lightweight. And I like this one because it has this little pouch and it packs down into the pouch super small. A lot easier than I'm making it look. Plastic bags are used all the time and everywhere. A lot of the times, like because of the language barrier and I didn't speak the language, it was hard for me to say like, no plastic bag. They just sort of like did it and handed it to you, and it was sort of too late. But in any case where I could, I would pull this out and like show them like, no, I have a bag, like I can pack it in my own bag. So this was really helpful in some cases to mitigate some of the plastic waste. Okay, so let's move on to things I either brought with me that I felt like were not useful or helpful in the end, or things that I wish that I brought with me that I hadn't. First up, headlamp. I can't tell you the number of times that I wish that I had this with me. A lot of the roads are not lit at night in Southeast Asia. I can think of one instance off the top of my head where we arrived in Siem Reap in Cambodia, and we had been traveling all day. We took like a 15-hour bus. We had our big packs on our back and I had my little pack on my front. Our bus had arrived super late. We missed our transportation from the bus station to the place we were staying, so we had to walk there. So we're trying to navigate in the dark and in the mud, like sticky, heavy, gross mud. And every step I took, like my flip-flop was sticking in the mud, and I was like really unsteady with all my packs. So I wanted my hands free in case I fell so I could brace myself. But I had my iPhone flashlight in my hand, so I'm like feeling even more unstable. Whatever. It would have been awesome to just have a headlamp to light the way down the dark, muddy street. And it's good too, just like if we were doing like some day hikes and the sun was going down, just to like have a headlamp with us. It just would have come in handy in a lot of different situations. Next up, water bottle. So I brought this Swell, I think this is 20 ounces. And this water bottle is great. It keeps liquids very cold if you want them cold, or hot if you want them hot. But my problem with this water bottle and bringing this as my only water bottle is that it was too small. So if we were gonna leave the house in the morning, go out all day exploring, this was not enough water. And the whole point was that I wanted to fill this up so I wouldn't have to be buying plastic water bottles all the time. But I would go out and I would drink this in 2 hours, and then I would have to just buy more water anyways. If I had it to do again, I would get a much, much bigger water bottle, one that was like at least a liter or a liter and a half, like a big guy. So like this water bottle, just would have brought a bigger one with me. Next up is this crop top. And not necessarily like this black crop top. Like it's actually really nice to wear like cropped, really flowy things. Like in theory, this is great. The reason why I didn't like this is it's not a natural fiber. I don't know exactly what it's made of, but it's not breathable. It is very hot in Southeast Asia and very humid. So non-breathable, non-natural fabrics was not something I wanted touching my body at all. I wore this one time and like completely soaked it with sweat and didn't wear it again. If I had to do again, I would not bring any clothing that was not a natural fiber. Next up is first aid. I don't know why, but I didn't bring like any band-aids or antibacterial ointment or anything like that with me. And if you watch my videos, you might know that the very first day that we arrived in Indonesia, like the first day of our trip, I fell in a hole and like scraped my leg open. And the first thing I thought was like, I don't even have a band-aid. I don't have anything to wash this with. Like we had to then go find a store and eventually a hospital to have it taken care of. But it wasn't even just that instance either. Just throughout the trip, we would get like little cuts and scrapes and bruises, and we needed stuff to take care of it. So we ended up having to go out and buy all that stuff while we were in Asia, which is not the worst thing in the world, but it's also products that you're not familiar with. You don't know how your body's going to react to it. It would have been nice to just be able to bring the products that I know that I like to use on like a cut or whatever. And the last thing is makeup. So I brought some makeup. I don't wear a ton of makeup anyways, but I do wear some, and I brought it with me. So I brought a powder concealer, 2 brushes, eyeliner pencil, and mascara. I barely wore any of it. Like I said, it's hot and it's humid and you sweat a lot, and we were constantly like going to the beach or going on hikes, or I'm jumping in the water, or I'm going at a waterfall, like all things that you don't want to be wearing makeup for. If I had it to do over, I think the only thing I would bring would be mascara, because I did wear this on occasion, but everything else, like I didn't want to be putting powder on my face or like eyeliner on or anything. Like it's just gonna like all sweat off, or like I would get water on it, it would just wash off. Like I didn't need any makeup. All right, so that's everything. I hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please give it a like and subscribe down below, and I'll see you on the next one. Bye, friends. Oops. I'm really gonna get my hair done. Thought I heard something. Let's look at the camera when we talk. I don't know what I'm trying to say. Nope. Whoa, here comes the sun. I should probably know the name of this. To say, weren't useful? Is that what I'm trying to say? I feel like I'm forgetting something.